not tonight. And then Odyssey Sims, I mean, for real, tackles Caitlin Clark. There's no confusion. She tackled her like it's the National Football League. And look, I like Odyssey Sims. She came through last year for the field.
Out of here, we had Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers going at it a little bit over here. Paige grabbing her, no foul called. Grabs her again. Caitlin Clark said, "Yeah, dude, I mean, she's touched me enough times right now." I mean,
some intensity brewing here as Clark taking exception to the bump. You see Bueckers grabbing the arm of Clark and Clark flailing the arm.
Caitlin Clark had one of her toughest offensive nights of the season, but the box score doesn't explain why this game became so controversial. Clark finished with just 10 points and 1 free throw attempt. Yet throughout the night, she was knocked down, grabbed, held, and repeatedly involved in physical plays that left fans questioning where the whistle had gone. And 2 moments in particular changed the entire conversation. One sent Clark down onto her knee, the other involved Paige Bueckers, grabbing her arm with seconds left in the half. So before we break down exactly what happened, tell me in the comments, was this simply playoff-level physicality, or did Dallas take it too far? And if you want more breakdowns like this, subscribe, because the second incident is where this story gets even more interesting.
Well, they came after Caitlin tonight. She gets flat mugged right here. Flat mugged. What are we doing? I mean, yikes! She couldn't get a foul call if her life depended on it. Not tonight, anyway. Not tonight. And then Odyssey Sims, I mean, for real, tackles Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, this is the closer angle right
There's
here.
no.
Look at this. It lands on her knee with Odyssey. Where is it? Hold on. They're gonna show the replay. This is right here. Look at this shot. Aaliyah Boston electing to not screen. Look at this. Like, look at it. What type? You're screening Caitlin! Oh my gosh! She's screening Caitlin instead of Odyssey. Oh my gosh! How do you screen Caitlin? Oh my gosh! She's screening her own teammate instead of screening Odyssey Sims. How do you screen Caitlin?
Let's start with the moment that immediately raised the biggest question. Clark goes down and lands on her knee after contact involving Odyssey Sims. What makes the replay so important is what happens immediately before Clark hits the floor. The sequence shows Boston not establishing the screen as expected, Sims moving through the play, and Clark ending up on the ground. Clark then reaches for her knee. Now, whether someone believes the contact was intentional or accidental is a separate debate. The undeniable part is that Clark went down hard. The contact happened around her lower body, and the officials did not immediately stop the action with a foul call. And that is exactly why the replay became so important.
Now, Aaliyah Boston was supposed to set a screen. Watch. Look at Aaliyah Boston. She was supposed to set a screen here. Now, what if Caitlin would have got hurt? It was almost like she didn't want to hit Odyssey Sims. It don't matter. Odyssey Sims don't play for the damn team no more. You set the damn screen, Aaliyah. You set the screen. Caitlin was blindsided. You were supposed to set the screen.
But if you think that was the end of the controversy, it wasn't even close. Because later in the second quarter, Clark found herself in another physical battle. And this time, there was no question about what the contact looked like. Paige Bueckers grabbed Clark's arm and stayed attached while the clock continued to run. Dallas had a foul to give, so stopping the possession was part of the situation. But the debate was about the duration of the contact and how long it took before the whistle finally came. And what happened immediately afterward made the entire sequence even more uncomfortable.
Look at how all of this happened. This is exactly the problem here. They were literally tackling Caitlin like this throughout the game. There was no way they were going to let Caitlin Clark beat Paige again. They need to keep Paige in the MVP conversation. She's the golden child, part of the sisterhood, whatever you want to call it. But again, the ref watched her get fouled intentionally 3 times. Like, that says it all. If they're not calling intentional fouls like that, then something is seriously wrong here.
Clark was visibly frustrated by the contact. And then came the moment that pushed this clip even further. Bueckers told her to calm down. Look at how strange the sequence becomes when you put every part together. Clark is the player being held. She's trying to pull away. The whistle takes time to arrive, and then her reaction becomes part of the confrontation. That's why this wasn't simply another foul clip for fans. It became a question about how the game was being managed, and whether Clark was being judged more for reacting to contact than for the contact itself.
20 points. Bueckers, Clark got into it. They got into it right here. Caitlin was pissed. She said, "What the F?" Paige told her to calm down. Wow. Wow.
And then we get to the number that makes the entire situation much more interesting. Caitlin Clark finished the game with only 1 free throw attempt. 1. She shot 4 of 15 from the field and 2 of 8 from 3, so there is no question that she had a bad shooting night. But now remember the footage we just watched. A knee-level collision, an arm grab, multiple physical plays around her body, yet only 1 trip to the line. That doesn't automatically prove that every contact should have been called, but it does create a legitimate question about how much physicality the officials were allowing around her.
What the hell is going on here? Like, am I tripping? She only had, well, Kelsey Mitchell did have 5 assists. I give her that, because she normally don't get that many. Caitlin Clark, 10 points, 4 of 15 from the field. My goodness. 2 of 8 from three-point land. She missed the free throw. She had 4 rebounds, 9 assists, and only 3 turnovers. So you can't say it was turnovers. And she had a profound block today. But something I did notice with Caitlin Clark, she was forcing a lot of shots. They wasn't giving her any help. She couldn't get in the rhythm. She couldn't get her feet.
Here's where the story takes another turn. Because saying Clark struggled doesn't mean she disappeared. She finished with 9 assists, 4 rebounds, and only 3 turnovers. And she produced a major defensive play that reminded everyone how much more there is to her game than the scoring column. So yes, 4 of 15 is a bad shooting night, but the bigger question is why she struggled to find any rhythm in the first place. Dallas was trapping her, hedging off screens and making it difficult for her to get comfortable. And when you combine that defensive pressure with the physical contact we just saw, the game starts to look very different.
Crazy work. It really is. Caitlin Clark with one of her few highlights tonight with the big block.
Trying to feel her way back into a rhythm here.
I mean, damn, she blocked the shit out of that thing. She blocked the hell out of that thing. That was nice. Let's look a little.
But while Clark struggled, Kelsey Mitchell was doing almost the complete opposite. Mitchell exploded for 37 points, shooting 9 of 18 from the field, and she went a perfect 15 of 15 from the free throw line. She also added 5 assists. So Indiana actually had a player producing at an elite level offensively. The problem was that it wasn't enough to overcome Dallas. And that creates one of the strangest contrasts of the night. Mitchell was getting to the line repeatedly, while Clark, despite all the physical sequences we've just watched, went there only once.
A bunch. Kelsey Mitchell was shooting like there was no frickin' tomorrow, bro. Kelsey Mitchell, 35 minutes, 37 points, 9 of 18, 4-7 from 3. 9 of 18. She got foul and Kelsey Mitchell get all her foul calls. That's a whole nother damn conversation. Kelsey Mitchell went to the line I don't want to say 15 times, over 10 times. Kelsey Mitchell led the team in free throws.
But Dallas wasn't winning, simply because Clark had a bad night. Jessica Shepard was a huge reason for the result, putting up 26 points and 8 rebounds, while Arike Ogunbowale finished with 32 points. Dallas had multiple players creating problems, and Indiana couldn't recover once the Wings established their second-half lead. The Fever eventually lost 91-85, and that matters because it puts everything into perspective. Clark's performance was poor, the Fever lost the game, and Dallas deserved credit. But the physicality and officiating controversies continued to dominate the conversation afterward.
So did Ben Daniel. Jessica Shepard did not play in that game. And we found out tonight how big of a deal that is. 26 and 8. 11 of 16 from the field. That was big time. Arike Ogunbowale, 32 points. It was an ugly.
And then another moment started getting attention away from the actual game action. Clark was caught in a tense exchange with Stephanie White, appearing frustrated as her coach continued trying to talk to her. Now, we can't know exactly what Clark was thinking from body language alone, and it would be irresponsible to pretend otherwise. But the timing certainly stands out. Clark had struggled offensively, dealt with repeated physical contact, and now appeared visibly frustrated during an interaction with her own coach. Suddenly, the story had expanded from one controversial foul into a much bigger conversation about everything happening around Clark.
He was just trying to foul at that point. That looked like an intentional foul. And I'm not too sure what this is, but we have a Stephanie White, Caitlin Clark little interaction here that seems like Caitlin Clark wasn't too happy with whatever was going on between her and the coaching staff tonight. You got Stephanie White doing the yapping that she does. Caitlin Clark doesn't want to hear it. Physically cringing. Look at this. Physically cringing, looking physically ill. Looking physically ill. Physically ill by whatever Stephanie White's saying. Like, damn, I'm tired of hearing this, but hey.
This is also where we need to separate what the footage actually proves from what people online are assuming. The facts are straightforward. Clark scored 10 points, she shot 4 of 15. She had 9 assists. She took 1 free throw. She was involved in the knee-down sequence. Paige Bueckers grabbed her arm. Indiana lost 91-85, and there was visible frustration between Clark and her coach. Claims about sabotage, locker room drama, or deliberate targeting go beyond what these clips can prove. But those theories didn't appear out of nowhere. They came from people watching all of these moments and trying to connect
Caitlin
them.
Clark's whistle is so bad that opponents have to tell the refs to call the foul. I want you guys to pay attention to this for a second. Look at Paige Bueckers foul Caitlin Clark. I mean, she's grabbing her arm, right? I mean, look at this. Grabbing her arm, Chad. Grabbing her arm. Like you can't make this up. She's literally grabbing Caitlin Clark's arm. Paige grabs her arm there. Paige Bueckers is grabbing Caitlin Clark on the back. Like, look at this. Like, she's grabbing her on the back twice in front of these officials. And nobody chose to call a whistle until after this right jersey. Until after that final push right here. And then this referee decided to call it.
That's ultimately what makes this game so interesting. One missed foul can happen. One bad shooting night can happen. One awkward collision can happen. But when all of those things happen in the same game, Clark hitting the floor, another player holding her arm, only 1 free throw, repeated physical contact, frustration with the officiating, and visible tension on the sideline, the conversation naturally becomes bigger than one possession. The question isn't whether Caitlin Clark played badly. She did. The question is whether the physical and officiating environment around her is becoming a recurring problem.
I mean, you notice how many Caitlin Clark highlights I didn't have to show you? There just wasn't anything to show tonight. Wasn't anything to show. Now, what I will say about the physicality in this game. You're headed down the road of the playoffs right now. These games, we've just thought they were physical. We're heading down the road of the playoffs. Things are going to get a lot rougher. A lot rougher, a lot more physical.
because this is exactly the kind of game that can disappear from memory if nothing else happens. But if another game comes along and Clark is again knocked down, grabbed, or left without a whistle, people will immediately pull these clips back up. That's how a single controversial night turns into a pattern. And the league doesn't need to agree with every fan reaction to understand why these plays are generating attention. The footage exists, the numbers exist, and the questions are already being
How do you
asked.
screen Caitlyn? It got to the point where she's hurting Caitlyn. She's the reason Caitlyn probably fell. Let me watch this. Look at this. AB didn't screen. Odyssey Sims just literally fell into Caitlyn Clark. How do you screen Caitlyn? Oh my God, this is crazy. I ain't even gonna lie. I didn't even know that. I'm just now realizing that Aaliyah Boston screened Caitlyn Clark. Not Caitlyn Clark.
So maybe the biggest question coming out of this game isn't whether Caitlyn Clark had a bad night. She did. It's not whether Dallas deserved the win. They did. The real question is, what happens the next time Clark finds herself in another game? This physical. Because if the same kinds of contacts keep happening, if the whistle continues to become part of the story, and if the conversation keeps shifting from the contact to Clark's reaction, this controversy isn't going to disappear. The question now is whether someone in the WNBA finally decides to do something about it.